Thank you very much to come in, and nice to have you with us. And now just tell me a bit about
Yeah.
yourself. And
Well, like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm Haddon,
yeah.
Rustin. Was born in Cape Town, South Africa. Came to England in 1994. So I was just backpacking, traveling, and doing my little bits as
Oh, of course, like everyone does.
Yeah,
isn't it?
and did quite a bit of traveling and backpacking through Europe. Yeah, and London was my last destination. Yeah, and I liked London, and I just ended up staying over here.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. And after you came to London, what else you did?
Yeah, I mean, when I came to London, did the normal things, worked in hotels, worked in pubs, worked in bars and things like that. Because I was at, before I left, because I was at university in Cape Town, and then I decided to go backpacking, and yeah, and that's kind of, I came over here, and then what I always tell people is like I just forgot to go back home.
Like everyone.
Yeah.
Someone told me once, if you drink the waters of London, you never go back home.
Yeah. And I think I came to London in my early 20s, so that is like, and London then, I suppose it still is, it's the prime party city of the world, because I used to just work and go out and do things like that, and obviously you had no obligations then and no hassles or worries at the time, so you could just, as long as you earn enough money to support your party lifestyle, then that was it. Nothing else really mattered.
Do you remember life before the end of the world?
Well, like I said, it's like I obviously after that I got married and had children, but I mean, yes, I still remember my times when I first got here.
I mean, before COVID, you remember how was life before COVID?
Well, COVID, I would say COVID didn't really affect me because I kept on working, so I was off for, well, not really off, but my business, we had to close, but it was only closed for a week and a half.
Okay, no, that's not bad.
Yeah, so we had to, and after that we had to, I had to call my engineer back in, because then we just started getting busy again, obviously with the
Everybody home, isn't it? So
yeah.
Everybody want coffee.
Well, not necessarily the coffee side of it, more the coffee machine repair and servicing side, because obviously now people were using their machines more, and then they tend to break down a lot more, need servicing. So I mean, what happened with COVID is I decided we were going to close, and then I just decided I'm going to go into work and then just finish off like whatever machines we had that came in before the lockdown. And yeah, like the phone just rang and it's like, oh, can you fix? And it's like, oh yeah, bring it in. And then I just constantly went on like that. And then after about a week, I had to call my engineer up and ask him like, well, can you come back into work, because now we are getting busy again. And that side of the business continued going. Our coffee side obviously died on the Friday once they announced the first lockdown. Online sales continued, but like I said,
when the lockdown started, I remember everyone go a rush to supermarkets to buy everything at once. Did you got the rush as well?
No, because obviously all our we mainly supply the trade, like your restaurants, your coffee shops, your offices. So obviously there won't be a rush because they know they were going to close. Mm-hmm. So that side of it, our online coffee side, that just kind of our online coffee business is not that big, but it just kept on ticking. People ordering online, we were getting the orders out to them.
coffee is not only a vice; is a pleasure as well, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's like it's part of your lifestyle now. I mean, like most people, it's like I mean, like for me, I don't drink a lot of coffee, but it's my first coffee is very important. So obviously my first coffee will always be either at home or it will be at work. So sometimes when you go out or you need to go out and you need to have coffee elsewhere, then it could be that like okay, it's like you kind of run. Oh, is it going to be good? Is it not going to be good? Am I going to enjoy it? Because like normally it's like your breakfast in the morning. Once you start with a good breakfast that you enjoy, then your day kind of starts off well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, coffee for me is I'm crazy about coffee. I think when I spoke to you the first time with the coffee machine thing, my problem with the coffee machine, I was craving because the only thing I could do coffee with was this little French presser.
yeah, okay.
That was really bad. I couldn't do much with the French presser, and I tried to use it as a daily thing.
Yeah.
And because my coffee powder was too thin, it used to block all the netting.
Yeah.
Didn't feel the
Yeah.
basically lose the coffee. You just get
I
powder
mean,
into it.
yeah, I suppose most probably your go-between would be like these what you call the mocha pots or the stove tops. You know, the screw type, the Bialetti. Those would be if you're like an espresso drinker, then that will kind of be your backup if your coffee machine kind of breaks down, because that's something that will create a nice, strong, full-bodied coffee.
Mm-hmm. I think I read on somewhere that the pot machine, the one they screwed one.
Yeah.
The machine was created around 1600, wasn't it? Really
No. It wasn't that long. It was at it was created. I think it was created in. Just sorry for having to go through my notes. In the 30s. The first machine, the first, because that was the when they commercially produced it. But I think in the 1800s they had something similar. That's kind of like the start of
just
your
screw machine.
Of your espresso machine, where it's like hot water, where they force the hot water through the coffee, and then obviously you extract all the flavors and the oils and stuff from the coffee, so you get like a full-bodied espresso or full-bodied coffee.
Yeah, I think it was the Venetians that invented the machine, isn't it?
Yeah. That was like everything, like most of like when it comes to coffee, the mechanical side for making coffees that started in Italy.
Okay. So do you have an idea when it was?
I think it's round about. Let me just see. Sorry to go through my notes.
Go for it.
It was 1884. By a guy called Angel Morondo. So they, I mean, because when the coffee got to Europe, so the Italians they were like they kind of really took off, because they like, obviously they like the stronger full on coffees.
Oh yeah, I think when I was reading about it, and coffee basically started from Venice, wasn't it? The Venetians was the biggest drinkers in Italy, isn't it? Because of port. And
it's just because of the port, because like the coffee came into Europe in the 1700s. So they came from what they call like
Turkey,
the Arab Peninsula, which includes like Syria, Turkey, Yemen, and all those places. Yeah. So that's where that's how they got the coffee kind of reached the shores of Europe. And then you had the Dutch that kind of got hold of somehow got hold of the plant, and then the French also got hold of the coffee seeds, and then they started. I think the first coffee plant was grown in I think 1720, around about 1720, 1723. So one of the kings got the plant, and then they grew the plant. They got the seed, and then they grew the coffee plant in one of the botanical gardens in Paris.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting, because the coffee in South America starts from one plant, as I read. But one plant, a Dutch guy.
No.
Was a French.
It was. It's because once it got one of the I think one of the kings from France actually, or I think they took the coffee to Martinique.
Martinique.
Yeah, and then how it got to South America, it's I think it's one of the governors or emperors or something of Brazil sent. He visited Martinique, and because the French had the thing is like, oh, coffee is like it's their thing, so nobody's allowed to have the seeds, and the governor did not want to give the seeds to the I think this guy's called Francesco, and then his wife, as a parting gift, gave him like a bunch of flowers, and then she threw a bit of seeds in it, and that's how that's
the first coffee in Brazil, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
early 1800s.
Yeah, so that's how the coffee came to Brazil, and that's how it ended up as like one of the biggest like money thing for like $1 billion industry for Brazil.
Oh yeah, I think Brazil is still the biggest coffee producer today.
Yeah, they are. I mean, but their coffee production has come down a lot over the years, because I mean they had over the years they had you've got like obviously in South America you've got like the El Nino and stuff like that affects the coffee crops, the crops as well. So sometimes and a lot of obviously with deforestation and things like that. So I mean, at one stage I think Brazil was their annual output was around about the 65 million sacks of coffee a year.
Sure.
And now they're down to about just under 50 million.
Yeah.
So.
But do you reckon the quality of the coffee in Brazil increased the quality? Because the quality was quite poor. You should produce a lot, but not with much quality.
Yeah, I mean now they do have there's quite a lot of high end Brazilian coffees like the Terra and things like that. So the quality has increased, because like you say before, it was just quantity compared to versus quality.
Yeah.
And then obviously, but they still dictate Brazil still dictate the price of the coffee. So because obviously the coffee is traded on I think on New York, on the stock exchange in New York, and I think in London as well. So
but how can Brazil dictate the price?
The output. No, it's not
because the amount of the produce.
The output. So say for example, like we get weekly reports, like coffee reports on Arabicas and Robustas and things like that. So then they'll say, oh, this is what they predict their output is going to be. So obviously, if their output is if it's like a million or two sacks, it's not much. But if they're going to say, oh, they predict that their output is going to be say 5 million. Because then obviously you'll get like the traders that will start buying, and then once you got like people buying and the demand becomes less, then obviously the price of the coffee is just gonna go high.
Just skyrocket the prices.
Yeah, and I mean, like I say, with the coffee industry, the price of the coffee. I mean, there's been times where the price of the price of the coffee is like has been stable, but roughly about every 10 years you just get this huge increase of where the price of coffee just goes sky. It can double, can triple, can even go up about say 5. Loads of factors affects it. So the last big price increase was when we had the crash in 2008, yeah, because of the housing market. So because then coffee is a safe bet, so people will take their money out of other commodities like housing markets and things like that. All these traders or hedge funds, then they will buy up coffee.
Yeah, coffee is the second biggest commodity in the market exchange, isn't it?
Yeah. It's after oil. It's the second. Like I said, it's the biggest after crude oil.
Oh, that's
so yeah, and like I said, it's we obviously, me as a roaster, we get affected by it, because like say with the 2008 stock market crash, all the money went out of all the bigger companies and housing and all the like the house market and things like that, and then it goes into coffee. So our I think was 2008, as soon as the crash happened, the price of coffee went up by 120%.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so and we can't like say we can't increase our price. So we have to, what we normally do is like we kind of like bite the bullet for the first couple of months and see whether the market is going to stabilize or whether it's going to come down again, and then we would have no choice but to put an increase. But we can't do 120% increase, so we would do a 30 or 40% increase on our
your roasters and
on our coffees, and then obviously once the market stabilizes and come down again to its normal levels, we'll still keep it at a higher price for a couple of months or so, just to make up for the losses that we had when the price went up, and then we would bring the price down.
I need to follow the market anyway.
Yeah,
it's like any business.
Yeah, like I said, I check the coffee price on every day when I come into to work.
So basic coffee price for you is addiction now, so you need to do in the morning.
Yeah, it's like it's on the screen. And I mean at the moment the price of coffee has gone up. The price of coffee has gone up, say compared to about say 2 months ago. The price of coffee has gone up by about at least 30 or 40%.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. So how that reflect in a cup we have every day?
Well, like I say, we kind of most roasters, they kind of sustain that price increase, because if for me selling so for me it will be about a couple of pennies. So
just for the consumer, it will be
for the consumer doesn't feel it. The consumer, because if it's a good, like if you like most coffee shops, I would say most of the independents, they would just like bite it, because like it's going to cost them a penny more.
It doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, because like I mean, once it comes to two or three pennies, then most places will either up their price by 20-30p. But because like I mean the margins are very good on coffee, so sometimes it's not really worth it to kind of rock the boat, because I mean consumers are kind of very sensitive. Like you can say, okay, you know what, it's going to go up and by 20p, but obviously you'll get people say, oh the market's gone up, and then it's like, oh,
I get it. I mean, which people buy your coffee more? You fresh roast, isn't it? So you
we I mean the company, like my company, because I'm married into the business. The company was started in 1935 by my I would say ex-wife's grandfather. He couldn't fight in the war, and then he managed to get like a sack of coffee. He roasted it in his oven at home in Chiswick, and then in the afternoon he went onto the high street and tried to sell this roasted coffee, and then that's how the business started. And then he would like, so obviously it's like he started, roasted in his oven, go out on his bike in the afternoon, try and sell it, and that's how the business started. So our philosophy, not our philosophy, but like how we do coffee is like we supply coffee on a weekly basis. We supply mainly restaurants, offices, coffee shops and hotels, and we supply a few schools as well.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Schools, not for the kids, I hope.
Well, it's just like I mean, it's for the teachers and for the parents as well, because obviously it's not your local state schools. It's a lot more private schools, and the schools that we supply, it's like they buy a lot of coffee. They spend a lot of money. They'll spend up to about say £300 or £400 a month on coffee.
Okay. Which coffee you sell most? Which one is the best one for you in taste, or what people like most?
For me, it's like we've got our popular coffee, which is more like a medium roast, because we don't do single origins. We blend our coffees, so we'll have like say we do most of our Arabicas are South American. So well, all of our Arabicas are South American, and then we use a Vietnamese Robusta that we add to the coffee. So it's a small percentage, just to break down. To get that taste that we like. But I would say a medium. I'm not going to say a particular coffee. It's just a medium roast is like, because it's not too strong and it's not too weak. So that is what we sell the most of.
Okay, so that was all before you start coffee machines. Basically, you start only coffees or coffee machines?
It's only I would say most probably in the coffee machines came into play. I would say in the 80s,
okay.
say late 80s. So because espressos and cappuccinos weren't that popular in England.
Yeah.
Until the 80s, because they were more like the percolators, the filtered coffees, and the French press and the cafetiers and things like that.
Okay.
Or so those sort of things were big then, and then there was also, going back to the late 80s and 90s, there's this trend where it's like sometimes like you go to the trendy coffee shops, you go in South Kensington or Knightsbridge, and then it's always been trendy to sit outside with your little cafetiere pot on the table and things like that. So there was also this trend that was going.
Okay, I mean, because as I heard, English men and women used to drink more tea than coffee. A few years ago, maybe a couple of decades ago, it's more tea than coffee.
I mean, there has been. I mean, there's been, obviously, if you go to Soho, you've got obviously Algerian coffee shop, which has been around since, I think they've been around since the 50s or so, and there's been like a few coffee houses.
But more Arabic type. Or
and obviously, I mean, when coffee came, because what did they call, like they used. In the 1600s, you had what they would call like penny universities, which is like almost like little coffee shops that you get now, where the coffees were like a penny. Obviously, that's where the name comes from. And then that was just a place for people to go and sit, like students, professors, and people would go and talk about their things. So it's like have their little intelligent conversations over a coffee. But I mean, obviously, the tea houses tea house, obviously, it's an English thing. So but it's been around. So and because I think in when these penny university, there was about 300 of them in the UK.
Okay, it wasn't that much. And now you have 300 by quarter of the seats.
Yeah. So
every little town you have 300 coffee shops.
Yeah. So coffee became, but then the like I say, the not the trend changed, but then the espressos, and obviously with people traveling, it's like, oh, I've been to Italy, been to Milan, been to Rome, I had this really nice coffee. So then, because I think in our business, I wouldn't say we were the first, but we were kind of like not late to get onto the machine side of it. It's just something that we had to add. So we managed to get some contracts with manufacturers, like say French coffee machine manufacturers. So in order for us to get coffee machines, espresso machines, supply them to our customers, and then we managed to, I think it was in the 1995 or so, we ventured into, like, then we started dealing with like more Italians, because like your main manufacturer, Italian manufacturer in the UK, Gadget.
Okay.
So,
what was the name of the UK manufacturer?
No, it wasn't. It was the French manufacturer was a company called Unique. I mean, they're still around. They manufacture espresso machines, and the Italian company is La Pavoni, which we deal with. Obviously, we still deal with Pavoni.
Yeah, I love my coffee machine, and thank you very much for helping to fix my.
No, because those machines are
bulletproof, I would say.
Yeah, I mean they go on because like we I think the oldest machine that we got in was about 65 years old, which we managed to do a full repair. And
was a brown one as well? Brown.
It's older than, it was a lot older than yours. It was one of the first ones that they made.
Was the one they use in a James Bond movie?
Yeah, I mean obviously the James Bond movie kind of doesn't do. I mean it doesn't do justice to, because that obviously you use your machine and you know that's not how you make a coffee on that machine, and you could see the coffee that came out of it. It wasn't that
like
nice.
a tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they use the coffee machine just to show it was a trend in Europe that time, I think.
Yeah.
And then they use in a movie, and maybe that's why La Pavoni just launching in UK. I mean,
no. La Pavoni's been around in the UK for not in the UK, but it's been around. Obviously, a lot of people, because I've got a doctor who. I mean, he used to live in London, but now he's moved out to the countryside. And he said he bought his first La Pavoni. He was like traveling, he was like backpacking, and he was in Rome. And then he saw this machine, and he bought the machine. And it's like, I think that's when credit cards first started, because they didn't know because he wanted to pay for his machine with a credit card, and it's like, oh, they didn't know what this thing is like, because they didn't deal with credit.
Italy.
Yeah, and then he bought the machine and stuck it in his backpack, and he brought it back. He still has the machine.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, we do, like I say, with him, he'll call me up, oh, can I send the machine in, or if there's something that I can help him out with over the phone. It's like, oh, just do this, or things like, 'cause a lot of the people are so attached to the machine, they don't want to kind of not get rid of it, but be a part of them, be apart from the machine. So when it comes in for service, it's like, it's going to take you about 5 to 10 days for us to do a service on it. So it's like, oh, I don't want to be that long without my coffee machine. And then you do get I mean, I've had like quite a few customers that actually bought another machine, so we had to send the new machine out to them first before they send the other machine.
Okay.
So they'll always have a backup. So those machines you need to service about once every 2 years. So they'll send one in, and then they'll use their backup, and then once the other one comes back, then they'll send the other one in.
Yeah, I had one of the electric machines, the electric ones.
Pump ones, yeah.
Yes, but it was a small one, and I didn't like it the way it worked. So when I got that one, I took it to repair.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought the bits from you.
Yeah.
The machine is completely different. You basically make a proper coffee out of it. Because I don't know why the pump one, it doesn't work as the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same. I mean, like with the Pavonis, it's obviously it's with the lever machine. It's like the machine is very sensitive. It is sensitive to grind. It's the amount of coffee that you put in, how firm you temp the coffee down, and once you pull that lever down whether you've messed it up or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind, and it's like a ritual that you go through. It's like it's not the same as pushing a button and doing that. So it is like your pump machine. I wouldn't say they're bad machines. They make good coffee for people who start, but like once you start off with it, like you kind of like, oh, I want something better. It's like, oh, if you say for example, one of your friends comes to your house and they've got a pump machine, and they'll see what you do on making a coffee, and the end product or the quality of the coffee is like, oh, I would want to have one of those. And yeah.
I mean, it's different. It's basically tastes different. Everyone I did the coffee in the machine, even if you use different kind of coffees. If you use a thin powdered coffee, it makes a more frothy coffee.
Yeah, creamier coffee.
It make the taste a little bit golden. I would say. But if you use like English for the French press.
Yeah, no, you can't use that on the machine at all.
Try to use it. It just looks like a running.
Yeah, it's like
it doesn't work.
Like I said, that machine is, like I say, when you have a lever machine, you need to buy a proper grinder to go with that machine, because obviously you in control of how how fine or how coarse you want the coffee. And also when you change your coffee, say for example when you go from a medium to a dark roast coffee, you need to make adjustments to the settings on your grinder, because then you want to go slightly coarse on a darker coffee, because like dark coffee is like it's a bigger bean. It's like as less moisture in it, so it's like kind of like puffed up.
Okay.
So all those sort of things you plays a role in
So in here they use like numbers, like number 5, number 6. Number 6 is a darker coffee, isn't it?
That's just the strength. That's just the strength of the coffee. So yes, I mean I don't know that number system at all. For me, it's like it's not that important to me. If you come to me, you walk into our roastery and you ask me like about coffees, I wouldn't sell you a coffee that I like. I would ask you what you like, and then I would match you up with something that's in line with what you like. Because at the end of the day, coffee is a personal thing, same as with wines. Everybody has their own type of white wine, red wine that they like. So you can't tell me, oh, you've got to drink this wine because I think this is the best. It's just what you like. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm going to give you something that you're not going to like, it could put you off. Like say for example, if you new to coffee, it could put you off coffee like straight away.
Okay, that's interesting.
So like I said, it is. It's very, for me. It's a very personal. Coffee is a very personal thing, and you can't dictate to somebody else like, oh, you've got to have this or you've got to use this and things like that. I mean, I've had like an interview. I had like an article in the Financial Times a couple of 3 years ago, and people read about me and they read about the company, they read about what I was talking about, the coffee machines, and then all of a sudden it's like people are calling me up. It's like, oh, I want a Pavoni. And then I would speak to them on the phone and it's like, okay, yeah, fine. And then I would say to them like, I don't think that is the machine for you, because the lever machine is not a machine for anyone.
Everyone.
You need to be passionate about your coffee. So and if you don't have that passion, if you don't have the patience on this particular machine, then the machine won't be for you. That will either be a ornament in your kitchen.
Just a little pump machine would be better for them.
Yeah,
or the horrible little sachet thing.
Or a fully automatic bean to cup machine where you just put the cup down and then you push the cappuccino latte and the machine will make everything for you.
Make their life easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially if they have no patience for that.
It
takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, and it's like sometimes people they like good coffee, but they're not going to go through that hassle. They're not going to go through the hassle of going through it. Like say for example, on your machine, it takes about minimum 8 minutes to make your first coffee.
Yeah.
So you could walk to your nearest coffee shop in that time.
And get a coffee. Yeah,
so
it's not the same.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's like I say, I like when it comes to like the coffee side of it, the breakfast side of it. So I know I use my Pavoni only on the Sunday, but during the week, because we've got a coffee machine which is on the timer. So when I walk into work, the coffee machine is ready. So before I go up to the office, I'll make my coffee. Okay. But at the weekend, like on a Sunday, I have the same breakfast every Sunday. I have the same coffee, so I know what my end product is going to be. So you kind of like look forward to that, and it's like I go through the whole process like to do that, because I know I'm going to have my eggs is going to be the way I like it, my toast is going to be the way I like it, my coffee is going to be the way I like it, and that's that. And I'll start my day off like that, and I know you.
Yeah, Sundays is like tradition breakfast for every family. I think most of families have like a Sunday tradition on breakfast.
Yeah.
In my house is pancake day.
Yeah.
So we have pancakes every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So I need to make my coffee, and whilst the pancakes are being made, I'm just going through my coffee and get the powder, put in any little cups.
Yeah.
Press it up. I like very nice and tight to make a very thick and very
creamy
frothy,
coffee.
Creamy coffee, and put in a machine and wait all the time, and have a special water that don't block the coffee machine. It's kind of And then you see when you start to the steam start to come out and you start to get the noise that is ready, and then you pump. Usually I pump up and let it go. When it starts to drip, that's where I'm going now.
Oh, okay. Like I say, even on your how you make the coffee on your machine is different to how I make it. How I use my lever, because I don't wait for that drip, because I make my coffee not super fine. I add slightly more coffee, so I would raise my lever up. I watch the water level drop on the glass, and then I give it another, say, 10 seconds before I pull it down. So then there's like quite a lot of resistance, and then I get the same thing. But like I said, that is how I like making my coffee.
Coffee is interesting. If you do it quicker, you have less caffeine on it.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. It's more to do with the roasting. Okay, yes, if it's quite coarse, then you extract less. You extract less of the caffeine, because you get the water running through faster. So if it's like a lot thinner, then obviously you extract more of the caffeine that's in the coffee.
Okay, so because my one I would like really thick. I like. When I pull, I can feel the resistance. I don't push too hard. I just let my hand goes with it all the way down. When I get in the type of coffee, sometimes I pump it twice, the same coffee.
Yeah. Just like I say, that's everybody has their own way.
To wash the coffee now to get every little bit of that caffeine out of it.
Like I say, everybody has their own way of making coffee on those machines, and there's no right way or wrong way. As long as the end product is what you like, then that's the perfect way.
I just love my coffee.
Yeah, I mean, we sell quite a lot of those lever machines, and I always tell customers who buy the machine, who's never used one before, is to actually come in and collect the machine, and I'll give you like the basics, like of how to use the machine, the standard the standard operating procedure of how to use the machine, and then from there you'll add your little tweaks and things like that, and you'll create your own little rhythm or way of making coffee. And that's, like I said, that's just it. Like, there is no right way or wrong way of making a coffee. Obviously there is a good way and a bad way of making a coffee on there, but as long as you know the basics, and then you kind of like go into your own little thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to do it this way, like you say, you've got the double pump. So and
I do like to pump it twice,
because some people say, oh, I don't do the double pump, I do it halfway and then pull down. It's like some people do the double pump. So like I said, there's like loads of things going, and it is just like I
saw a video on YouTube regarding that pump machine, and it was about 600,000 views.
Yeah.
Can you believe?
There's loads. Like I said, there's some of them are I've watched quite a number of those as well. And there's some, like I say, it's
very popular.
It's quite popular, and also you get the guys that become quite anarchy about these machines, and they'll have all the modifications and stuff like that. And some of the videos like quite dull and boring, because like you just watch this guy. There's no commentary or anything on. You just watch. You can sit there like for 6 minutes, the guys, because like some guys they'll grind the coffee into the handle, and then they'll tamper down, and then they've got this little, almost like a little fork thing, and they mix the coffee up again, and then they tamper down again, and they do it like a few times, and you kind of think like, okay, what are you doing? Because like you kind of repeating the same process over and over.
It's just a bit too much sometimes. Yeah. It's just to make a video.
Yeah, I suppose my videos that we have on YouTube, I haven't checked to see how many views I have on my videos, because I've made a number of videos on YouTube on various machines and stuff like that, and I've made one which is, I think it's quite popular on the milk side on the Pavoni machine, because a lot of people, they said like, oh, this machine you can't froth milk that well, and then I did a video just to give them like, see how it's done. So and I always like refer people to go and watch the video to see how I do it. And then
I mean, basically I can froth finally mine, but I don't like to spend my pressure in doing a froth.
Because you've got a double switch, yeah. So I mean, your machine, because like your machine is quite good, because you can run it double the power, so you can create all the extra steam for it. So you just run both elements at the same time, and then it will just constantly create steam for you. But like I say, with those sort of things, again, it's like, oh, do you steam first or do you make the coffee? So there's also those sort of things. Some people say, no, I prefer to make my coffee first and then steam, and then others say, no, I prefer to steam first and then make my coffee. So it's like I say, it's just once you get that machine, it becomes it's a personal item for you. So you're not going to go and like, oh, tell your wife or your friends, oh, go and make me a coffee. It's like, that's not going to happen.
Yes.
That's like, okay.
No one can use my machine.
Yeah, and it's like I say, yeah, and it's like, even if you do ask if they do know how to use the machine, because you have your way of making the coffee, and it's like, well, there's no point. I mean, I've got the people at work, and it's like, they know not to ask me to make whether I want a coffee, because they know even though I want a coffee, I would say no, so I'm going to make it myself. Because at work, again, on our machine, we've got like a little scaled down commercial machine, Pavoni machine, which is so there again, I make my coffee a certain way, where I stick in about, say, 22 grams of coffee, and the machine struggles, so it kind of like just gets like a slow stream of coffee that comes out. But that's how I make my coffee, and that's the coffee that I like from there.
Okay, is it worth to get a little coffee shop style machine to stay at home, like a 2 pumps, or is
it depends. It depends what your coffee situation is at home. It's like, if you say, for example, like say the Pavoni machine. Well, I've got more than one coffee machine at home. So with the Pavoni machine, that's my machine. I just make coffee for me. The kids, they want quick, easy, so they've got like a fully automatic coffee machine where they put their cup down, the milk is on the one side, and then you push and it makes the latte and the cappuccinos. So that's what they use. I actually put a special coffee in there to compensate for the quality that those sort of machines make. But then again, like I say, when we've got guests, that's what they're going to get. Coffee from there, because like, you can always, if the coffee is too weak, you can always just add another shot of espresso onto it, just to make it a bit stronger. But the coffee that we use in there that we use in that machine is strong, and the coffee that I use in the Pavoni is different to the coffee that we use in that machine.
Okay, I mean, I like to do my coffee to some guests sometimes when I have some visits at home, but some people, they can't just wait. They have no patience for the machine, because they need to understand that you have all the process to do it.
And
that's
also,
why
and also,
I
and
bought
also
a new cups from you, because that way I can just prepare the cups and just
and also depending on how many coffees you're going to make, because you've got the smaller machine. So yes, you can make about 8 espressos on your machine. So then you're going to have to depressurize, fill it up, let it heat up again, if you've got more than 8 coffees to make.
Yeah.
So obviously, you've got the bigger version of the Pavoni, which is the professional, which has a 1.6 liter boiler. So yes, you can do more coffee. But like I say, what I normally say is, like, the Pavoni is not a party. Like, it's not a party piece. It's only for you. When your guests come, you either get your little mocha pot, or your cafetiere, or your fully automatic machine, or like I say, you've got semi-professional machines that you can use at home. But are you going to spend 1,600 or 1,600 pounds on a machine like that? Because those machines are scaled down commercial machines, which will make like coffee shop or restaurant style coffee, or restaurant quality coffee for you. But then, like I said,
I drink coffee 3 times a week from the machine, so it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense. And like, how often do you have dinner guests? It's not that you have them like every night. Then it's like, then you can consider going down that route. But if you say it's like you've got guest dinner parties like once every other week or so, then yes, you can put up with it.
So one thing, when coffee starts to be when it stopped to be only a commodity and it start to be a pleasure, because the coffee machines came for a reason, because no one was the little pots, the screw down pots, or the normal coffee pots wasn't just enough. So someone created a machine, because nobody would like to waste the time waiting for the coffee to be boiled up, and then
it's I mean, like the first machine started like in where they you call it like a machine. It's like more, it's like, most probably, if you look at it, if you see it, it's like, oh, this is not a coffee machine, it's just like a contraption where they've created hot water to go through coffee.
Pressure.
Yeah, and then your first machine started in the late 1800s, and then like a guy called Bezzera, he created like the first espresso machine, and he then it became, because like the coffee became quite popular in Italy when it got there. People liked the taste of it, because they liked the coffees, well, strong coffee. When it's obviously the quantity of coffee is like small. It's like for them, it's just like, I mean, the culture in Italy is like, oh, we're just going to. It's like we would say, I'm just going to run into the toilet quickly. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go into the coffee shop. I'll just have a quick espresso, it's like just a quick shot of coffee, and then off you go.
Yeah, in Spain we have a custom to use a block of ice inside the espresso.
Yeah.
So some people say to make it quick to drink. I mean, cooler to drink. Others to get, if there's any powder residual, to go to the bottom. I don't know. I like it when sometimes when it's hot. Maybe because the climate is quite hot. So you could
you should be able to drink an espresso straight away in one go, because like at the end of the day the temperature of espresso is about 90 degrees, so it's not going to burn your
I'm not sure why they put a
like I say, it's just like everywhere people they've got their little things, and and then it just becomes like a tradition. As also some people say, oh, I want the espresso and like a full on coffee, and then I add an ice cube down to kind of not water down to make it a lot more smoother.
And to cool it down.
And also to cool it down. It's like, okay, fine, and
I don't know. It's as you said, it's just tradition and way to do things.
Yeah, so like I say, everywhere it's like, I mean, obviously the like say for example, like say the Americano, which a lot of people think like was invented in America, but it actually was invented in Italy. The Americano was like, because the Americano comes from the soldiers that were there, so they didn't like the espressos. And then they always asked them, oh, could you add more water to it? So like you get the American soldiers that came, and then it's like, oh, yes, can I have
on the Second World War.
Yeah, and yes, can I have a espresso, but can you add water to it? And then they would say, oh, yeah, you got another Americano, and that's how the Americano became, because like Americano is just an espresso with a lot more water added to it.
But all the type of coffees, any other like. Every country has a different coffee way to do it. I reckon. Yeah. In English coffee, which one it is?
English coffee we don't have it, because like we just followed like the tradition. Like nowadays you've got so much stuff going on in the coffee industry. Like you've got like these pour overs, and you've got like all these fancy or these long stem kettles, and you see the guys like pouring the coffee in like circles and so on. It's like it's just, I wouldn't say it's gimmicky, it's just like things just change. A lot of people like it, and you get the drip as well, and then like you got like filtered coffee, and like the ultimate with regards to filtered coffee is like, if you can lay your hands on a nice, that will probably be a party piece for you, if you can lay your hands on a nice traditional Kona machine. You get fancy ones, you get like gold ones and they sometimes you can spend over £1,000 on a Kona machine, which is like you've got a funnel, and at the bottom of a funnel, and you got like a little stick not a stick, but a little glass tube that goes in the funnel. You add your dry coffee in there, your ground coffee, and then that goes into a bowl of water, and then under your bowl of water you get like a little flame, like a little Bunsen burner type of flame that heats up the water steams up, then it goes up the tube, it goes through this little glass bit, and then it wets the coffee, and then after that all, and then it drips back into the bowl.
Okay,
it's
a very long process.
A lot of.
Who was created this machine?
I think it was also done in. I'm not 100% sure. It was also done in Italy, because we had a lot of restaurants that used not similar system, instead of having the whole thing, but the system that I've explained to you, that is like not a thing that you could buy for your house. So say for example, when you start your desserts, you can fire that up and it will sit on your dinner table. So once you finish your dessert, the coffee would be ready, and then you just pour it into.
Okay. So basically you wait until.
Yeah, like I say, if you can, you can go and Google like traditional Kona machines and stuff, like Kona coffee machines and stuff like that. Because we had like restaurants, like there was one restaurant on in Harrow, like the Old Etonian, which is like right next to the Old Etonian school in Harrow, and they had because we used to have the machines where you instead of the flame thing, is like you had this like two hot plates with a little cone on, and then you put the bowl, then you put your coffee bowl in, and then they'll put the coffee in there. And these guys, they used to, because I think I still have one at work, and they used to buy it because like they used to keep on buying the spares, because the funnels were made out of glass, and then obviously it's going to break. Yeah. And the restaurant itself, they refuse to go onto the normal, like, you know, the filter, the big commercial filter machines and espresso machines, because that's just how they wanted their coffee. And they used to buy loads and loads of coffee from us, and and then once the company, well, it was made by a company called Kona. Once they stopped creating the commercials, they stopped making the commercial sizes of these Kona funnels and machines. Then they just went to like the domestic side of it. But I suppose you can still get like one. So say for example, if you don't want to use your French press, you could use that. Say that would also be good, because it makes a really good filter coffee as well.
Okay.
Where it's like I say, it's just steam, and then you get like the vapor that goes through, and then it wets the coffee, and then once that's all wet, and then it just drips back into the
Have you seen how they do coffee in South America? And most of the countries in South America, they have like a stand where they have a cloth cone or something like a sock. They put the coffee inside.
Yeah, it's similar. That's the same principle as how the Kona system works. Because I know my father had one. My father had the coffee pot where you add the water, and then it goes up, and then and the coffee goes either in a little funnel or a little cloth bit that you kind of just drop into this coffee pot, and then stick it on the oven or your cooker, and then.
But basically, they have like a sock thing. They have like a sock thing and put the coffee inside the cloth.
Yeah.
I don't know how it could.
Because it's
and you get the hot water just put on top. Yeah. And you get the coffee on the bottom, basically.
Yeah, and then obviously the water they keep on just boiling the water, and the steam from the water still saturates the coffee and still draws more of the flavors and all the oils out of the coffee.
It's quite good.
Like I say, each country, like I say, my father used to have his little thing, and that was also for us. Then in South Africa, that was for him, was, I would say, his little espresso thing. So weekends we would have this really good coffee, and then during the week, because like
how's coffee in South Africa?
It's
industry in general.
I mean, I don't know too much about it now, because I haven't been to South Africa for quite a while. But I mean, I read up about a lot of it, and also with manufacturers and things like that. It is becoming quite, I mean, because Cape Town is like very international now. Over the last 10 years, there's a lot of change, and it's become very international. You've got like lots of foreigners. I mean, even the property market in the has gone sky high, because everybody wants to have a house or a little flat or bachelor's apartment or things like that in Cape Town, because property used to be fairly cheap. But as like I say, that just depends on like, once you get your international money people coming in, then they just cause that market to
Okay, and in farms, coffee farms.
There's no coffee farms. You've got coffee. The nearest coffee farms will be in Zimbabwe, where they do coffee, and their coffee is quite expensive. And then obviously when you go further north, you've got like Kenya. I think they do some coffee in Malawi. Then Kenya, you've got Ethiopia.
Is the birthplace of coffee, basically.
Yeah,
isn't it?
well, compared to so that's where they say it started.
Yeah, and they say they found in Ethiopia the coffees.
Yeah, it was like the coffee plants were kind of like the coffee plant was like just growing wild, and then obviously like same with all sorts of plants that we eat nowadays. It's like it's just somebody just stumbled on it. And it's like,
do you have an idea when he started? When they found it?
I would most probably say it's most probably going to be about 1600s, I think. Before 1600, because like the coffee went to America in 1600. So it's going to be 1500s or the 15th century. Before then, that's when it would have started.
So how the world lived before coffee?
Yeah, and I mean,
can you imagine the planet without coffee today?
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I still not question it, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like when you see a coffee plant, because I mean, obviously everybody knows what a roasted coffee bean looks like, but I mean, obviously a roasted coffee bean doesn't look anything. A coffee plant or coffee berry doesn't look anything like because like it's in a shell or a skin or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like a berry. You find, and it's nice and sweet as well. Did you try it?
What?
Yeah, because in my house we had coffee plants, so you could get a berry when it's nice and red and nice and sweet. Mm-hmm. That's the way my mom used to ask us to take the berries out. So the sweet part comes in from the skin side of it, because the bean itself tastes of nothing, because you can't chew on it. Because for me that is what I. The skin. Yeah, the skin is like a very thin coat around the bean.
Yeah, because I mean, for me that's why I say it's like. I mean, we've got loads of like the beans, and you look at the green coffee bean. It's like, well, you put it in your mouth, it doesn't taste of anything. It's like, so how did they? Because I mean, I read what happened was there was a fire. Mm-hmm. There was a fire in a field, and the berries got burned, and obviously the coffee bean itself got burnt, and that's how they got it. Because like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, if you see this coffee bean and you'll a green coffee bean, you bite on it, you lick on it, it doesn't taste of anything. It's like, let's heat that up to about, say, 100.
It's like cocoa bean. It's a cocoa bean before make chocolate. It doesn't smell like chocolate. It doesn't taste like chocolate. It's just like a very nutty taste. When you burn it, you get a chocolatey taste of it. Of it. Coffee is the same, something.
Yeah, like I said, it is just how it started. And obviously, when in Ethiopia, that's where, because now you've got like what they call Greek coffee. Mm-hmm. But it's not Greek coffee. That was like how they used to do it, how they used to drink it or they still drink it in Ethiopia, like where you ground the coffee bean, where you ground the roasted coffee bean up super fine, or what they call Turkish coffee. You got Greek and Turkish. There's like, those are the two names that we would use for it. But I mean, it's like, it wasn't started over there. Like in Ethiopia, that's what they used to do. Is they used to grind it up and then put it on a little plate, add water to it, and then boil it, and then they'll pour the water off, and that's how they used to get their coffee. Because like with Turkish coffee, you boil the coffee up and then you drink. You don't. The sediment sits at the bottom, and then you drink the top.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really fan of the Turkish coffee, because I like my one nice and filtered. Maybe because I'm more into Italian coffee anyway, so I'm not very fan of to get any bits with my coffee. It needs to be nice and pure. And sometimes I'm not even milk I like my coffee, just a coffee. Yeah. And if I have to do a coffee with a little bit more liquid, I do a kind of Americano, but it's different. I put extras. I pump a few times extra, and I put another fresh one, so I make a stronger coffee, but it still tastes like coffee, not water. Yeah. And I tried Arab coffee, but I couldn't do it.
I mean,
you drink it. But
I mean, and the thing is, it's quite popular, because we've got a few restaurants. There's one famous, not famous. Well, there's one restaurant in Soho. It's the chef. He's like a very famous Turkish chef. So he came from Istanbul, and then he set up this his restaurant, and all they do was just Turkish coffee. They don't do, and they don't have espresso machines. It's like they just buy Turkish coffee from Turkish coffee is just how you grind it, so you can use any coffee.
Basically, Turks took over coffee for a very long time. They dominated the market for a very long time. They had the beans, and never allowed no one to get the beans, isn't it? They used to boil the beans to sell it, so they couldn't grow it. No one could grow it. I think the Dutch came afterwards, and
like I said, the Dutch got some of the seeds and out, and then got exported, and then it's like the French had it, and then just grew, and that's it's actually when coffee went to America, I think it was the British that took the coffee to America.
Yeah, It was a big mistake because the Americans love the coffee and ditch the tea, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's when you add. That's where the whole what's it called, the Boston, because I think they the reason why they ditched the tea was because then they taxed the tea too heavily, and then that's when you had this whole what's it called, the Boston Tea Party.
And today's the American Independence Day today, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
the 4th of July.
Basically, was one of the things that culminate for the American independence.
Yeah.
Was the high tax on teas and foods and stuff from United Kingdom over there.
Yeah, like just where they kind of gave up, like didn't want to be part of the empire, didn't want to be.
So it's a coffee fault, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, coffee is like it's the well, they say it's like the most sold like kind of like legal drug.
Yeah, and the good thing in coffee is you can drink, you can enjoy, and if you drink a little bit over, you talk too much.
Yeah,
it's quite good.
Yeah, and it's like it's
a bit of a drug actually.
It is, like I said, I've had like quite a few instances like you get these like the sales reps that comes around, they'll try and sell you this and sell you that, and it's like, oh, do you want a coffee? And I only do coffee one way. It's like, for me, it's like you've got to have a double shot. You can't, single shots doesn't work.
It doesn't.
So they'll ask me like, oh yeah, I'll have a coffee, and it's like, oh, do you take a white coffee? It's like, oh yes, we'll do the milk, but I'll still do my double shot. And I remember one of the guys that came in, he was like, oh, okay, and then once he had the coffee, then the pitch of his voice started, and he started talking a lot faster, and like everything was just like happening so quick around him, and then he also like noticed like, oh, what's going on? It's like, why am I like this? I'm like someone edged now and like so hyper now after the. So I said it must be the coffee, because he's one of those people that's not used to drinking coffee, and also if you give them like a double shot of coffee, then you kind of increase the caffeine and all those things has an effect on affects people differently.
The behavior, isn't it?
Yeah, like say for me, it's like I can't drink coffee after 4, so after 4 I wouldn't touch a coffee, because I'll know I'll be up until about say 3 in the morning.
And for me it's different. Sometimes I drink a coffee when I come from work, when I am very, very tired.
Yeah,
I drink a nice espresso, not a double, not a triple, but just a little espresso, just to kick the edge of the tiredness, so I can go to sleep finally.
Yeah, no, I can't. For me,
if I don't do that, sometimes I can't sleep when I'm too tired. So I get a little bit of coffee, just to kick the edge, and have a shower, eat something, and then go to sleep.
Yeah, some people can drink coffee all day long, and even I've had loads of guys like, oh no, it doesn't affect me at all. I normally have an espresso just before I go to bed, and it's like, I wouldn't, like I said, I would normally have say if I'm going out for the night and I know it's going to be a late night, and I'm really tired, and I think I probably won't be able to stay up all the time, then I would have like a 2 double espressos just to that will see me through the night, if I know I'm going to be up until about say 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning.
And that's good, isn't it? Coffee is something else, especially when you drive a lot. So when you drive without stop for quite a long time, and when you get out of the car, you feel a little bit wobbly, and you get a cup of coffee, so just like you get a kick in the butt, and you straight up and go back again. I used to drive through Europe for 10, 15 hours straight, non-stop, and I used to basically take my edge off.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of driver that like have a coffee flask on by my side. I like get a nice hot coffee, fresh coffee.
Yeah.
Because when you get in a flask, basically the coffee is already brewed, and you keep going. It's just it doesn't taste like.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to coffee, I'm kind of like, not funny. I'm probably kind of. If I have like a white coffee, so when I do white coffees, I do half and half. So half coffee, half milk.
Okay.
And I would drink it when it comes out of the machine, so when it's the right temperature. When it kind of cools down, I wouldn't drink it, because I don't like the taste of it. And when it's cold safe, because like sometimes at work, it's like I'll make my coffee, I'll have some of it, and then I have to go somewhere or something, and then coffee stays on my desk, and then I come back, say after like 3 hours or 4 hours, the coffee's like cold, and that's when I'll drink it. But when it's in between, I don't like it, because the texture of the coffee, if you've got milk, if you add milk to the coffee, also when you go out and buy a coffee at a coffee shop, if they've kind of like what I would call burned the milk, where the coffee starts when you can't drink it straight away, then I would send that back, and because I normally say to them, I know my thing would be, it's like, I bought the coffee to drink now, not to wait 10 minutes for it to cool down.
It's like I used to work in a bar as a bartender. I used to make coffee, Italian style coffee, when I pour milk on it, I have the froth milk and everything. So my coffee is the one you could just drink, you know. And some customers used to complain, why it's too cold? I don't want to cold. So, but that's the way you're supposed to drink coffee. But you want me to burn the milk?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just, I mean, I've had like in one instance, which was like one of the worst, is like on a Sunday, I was cycling through Ravenscourt Park, and I was cycling with Adam, and we were the two of us like went to just for a bike ride, and then he wanted to stop if he wanted an ice cream and water, and so I stopped and I thought I'll have a coffee, and I had a little croissant thing, and then waited for it and got my coffee, and then as soon as I put my mouth to it, it burnt the taste, it burnt my tongue, so I kind of lost my taste buds, and I gave it back, and I said, well, sorry, I don't want this, and you can have the croissant back, because there's no point, because I won't be able to taste anything, and it's like, oh, it's a Sunday, so your Sunday lunch or Sunday dinner, you won't. It's kind of ruined, because when you've burnt your tongue, it's like you can't taste anything, and it's like, I said, and then the girl said like, oh no, but we've got lots of people that like it this way and like it so hot. So I said, well, that is like super. I want to drink my coffee now.
I don't use the coffee to cook something else.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I didn't come here to pay for something now, and then 10 minutes later I'm going to use it. Yeah,
it's not takeaway.
So yeah, like I said, I'm quite fussy when it comes to coffee and things like that. So it is just, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like something it's like
something you take as pleasure as well. It's not only because you like to drink coffee; you feel pleasure to drink it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I say, it's that like another thing that. Where it comes to, like I say, when it comes to like the whole coffee side, or where coffee is like a whole personal thing. So I know which coffee shops, like you get like these chains that go around. There was a chain called, I think they're still around, called Itsu or something like that. And I know the machines that they use, and I know the coffee they use, like the very like dark, what we would call like a continental or French roast coffee. So it's like a very dark, oily coffee. And I just, like I said, I just went in the shop because I just wanted a sandwich. So I thought like, oh, I'll go in, get a sandwich, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'll have a coffee as well. So got the sandwich, got the coffee. So coffee was like just overly too strong or too bitter for me. So I spent about £2.70 on the coffee, and then I had to spend another £1.50 on a bottle of water to get rid of the coffee taste. And it's like kind of like,
so basically you lost it. Basically, you lost a taste for coffee.
Yeah. It's kind of like you kind of like, well, there's no. You want the coffee, you want that coffee taste, but I mean, like the coffee that I like is like a medium coffee. It's got a nice smooth finish where it sits in the back of your tongue, and it's like, oh, you know, that's nice and pleasant. I can have that in the back of my tongue for the rest of the day.
When it's too burned, they burn too much. The bean is bitter on the end of it.
Yeah,
so
and
you lose the sweetness of the bean.
Yeah, and then, like I say, it kind of like, so some people like it. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like that's why I say it's just very, very personal. I mean, I've got a customer who buys 10 kilos of the stuff every week, and it's like they would, if the coffee, sometimes they say, oh, it seems like the coffee is a bit too light or something of the sort, because they like it like really dark, and all their customers like it. Like I say, it is just like you would find your
niche,
your niche, or you find, say for example, if you do go to a coffee shop, you'll find, oh, this is the coffee shop for me, and I'll keep on going back to that. Yeah, and like I say, with a lot of our customers, say the coffee shops that we supply, we always advise them, get two grinders, and then we'll supply you with two coffees, with two types of coffees, one medium and one like stronger, so that when somebody comes and says like, oh, I don't like the coffee, then you always ask them like, oh, what don't you like about the coffee? If it's too, then they'll always say, oh, it's too strong or it's too weak. It's like, oh, we've got this one that's.
So do you have a kind of like little sachets that people can buy to try your coffee? Or
online we've got what we call a taster bundle. So we choose the four coffees, so you get like four. I think it's like four coffees for a fiver, which you buy online, and then we would choose the coffees. But obviously you can, because we've got descriptions about all our coffees, so you can in the comment section just say, oh, I want this one and that one, but most of the time people just leave it up to us, and then we'll send them, like you get like 500 gram bags of beans that you can try.
Yeah, but usually most, I think, sells more. I say smoother coffee sells more, isn't it?
Like I said, it just depends. Like it depends. So we would do like 50-50. We would do two of the medium coffees, and then we'll go a step higher, and then another step higher than that. So those are the ones. And now obviously there's people that kind of know, or they've been recommended, or they tried the coffee at one of their friends. Like, oh, I want to taste the bundle, but can you make sure that this particular coffee is in there?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I used to have strong coffee before running or before cycling.
Yeah.
Because it gives me a bit of a...
coffee is popular with cyclists.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? So they should have a little helmet, in the helmet, a little pocket.
Yeah.
You could put a coffee in there and put a little straw in the mouth and can cycle.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, like, if you go around like this area, Richmond area, Surrey area, you would... If you go like early in the mornings, you'll always see, like on Sundays and Saturday mornings, you'll always see at the coffee shops opens early, and then you'll have all these cyclists out there, because they'll normally have a coffee after their cycle.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
because
good.
it kind of builds up their energy and
Is any sport that coffee is not permitted?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I obviously with most athletes, I don't think they do drink coffee beforehand, because I don't know if
coffee give you a boost.
Yeah,
it does give a boost. If you drink before any exercise, about half an hour, 1 hour before, give you a boost.
Yeah, because like it boosts your adrenaline, things like that. So
you reckon this is the only permitted drug on a sport?
Yeah, you know, like I say, you never know. It might also most probably be some of the chemicals and stuff like that in the coffee might be trigger some of these tests that they do. So you never know. So I've never heard of anyone that drank coffee and that got tested. But I mean, like I say, with athletes, because I wouldn't say coffee is seen as not. I wouldn't say it's not healthy, but I think there's always there's like every year there comes up with a study. 1 year there's, oh yes, coffee, the benefits, coffee is good, everybody should drink coffee, and then the next year is like, next research is like, oh no, they found that coffee is not good for you. And it's like, so you just don't know.
Yeah. I would just say, just drink coffee if you like it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
if it makes you happy and it makes you feel good, that's good for you.
Yeah, I mean, like it depends. It also depends on your consumption as well. So if you have like 1-2 coffees a day, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, like, yes, some people drink coffee all the time. Like just like, I mean, like in Italy, it's like if you go to
8 times a day, 10 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, like when I used to like go to the La Pavoni factory a lot. So you've got the factory build, like the offices is in one building on the top floor, and then you've got another building where they manufacture the machines, and then you've got another building where where you've got the designers and all those sort of things. And then so when you come up to the office, you come up on the lift, and then there's like the reception there, and then they've got like a little display area of all the machines and stuff like that, and they've got like a coffee machine over there. And like, so every time when we use, so I would be with like the international sales manager, and then we would go out to the building, and it's like, oh, so when you come up, oh, do you want a coffee? No, but we just had one. And they, like I say, it's almost like they can't walk past a coffee machine
without have a coffee.
Yeah.
They manufacture coffee machines, so they should have a law in every corner, basically. I mean, coffees, I used to have about 3-4 coffees a day. When you work in office, maybe I think you need it, because otherwise you feel too sleepy. Computers, sit in a chair, it's not much to do. Paperwork is boring. And coffees, maybe that's why coffees are so. I would say so many people like coffees in offices and stuff like that. You need to have coffee machines everywhere now. and companies give coffee for free for employees due to make their lives a lot easier, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it is. I mean, like it's obviously
produce more.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we like I say, we obviously pre-COVID we dealt with a lot of offices, and then when you walk into their little kitchen area, it's some of the offices they've got like it's almost like you're walking into a restaurant kitchen area. It's like they've got 3-4 coffee machines, they've got cookers, they've got fridges and stuff like that, and they supply all this the fruits, the cakes, the eggs, and all those sort of things to the staff. So and the coffee as well. So it is and I get it, because like you say, for example, if you work in the city, you say just going on your thing, like where you say you have like 3-4 coffees a day, it's like, so every time you go out, it's going to cost you about £3.
And it costs at least 20 minutes of your time to
Yeah,
go there
yeah,
and back.
yeah. So you spending a lot of money on coffees. Like say, for example, just on your coffee alone, you must probably spend like say 12, 13, 14 pounds on coffee, and then you've got to eat something as well. So before you know it, you're spending say 20, 30 pounds a day.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not only the expenditure for you. When you're going out to get a coffee, take 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you meet someone and you start to talk and you waste your time. For the company as well, it's not good.
Yeah.
So if you're going out 2 or 3 times for coffee, it's not productive. For
Yeah,
any
and also
company,
that's why a lot of the companies they have fully fitted kitchens where the staff can actually, because I mean at the end of the day, if you go say to your place of work and you can take your own food and your own breakfast and make your own lunch, instead of having to go to a cafe or go and buy this and that, and it will save you a lot of money as well.
Yeah, and time for the company. So
Yeah.
they make money and you save some.
Yeah, because I mean a lot of the time people don't really want to go out. Yes, you would go out for
To stretch your legs.
yeah, to stretch your legs, get some fresh air. But I mean, it's like sometimes it's like and then also you go out and then come lunchtime and you see like all the queues at the coffee shops and at the cafes and things like that. So.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, so before you know it, you'll only end up standing in the queue for like 10 minutes. If you're on a half an hour break, standing in the queue for 10 minutes, waiting another 5 minutes for your food. So in the end, you've only had 15 minutes of your break.
Yeah, so it's a good idea to have in your office.
Yeah, but like I say, obviously now things has changed, because we've had like over the last couple of weeks we've had quite a few 2 offices where they just said like, okay, well, they're not buying coffee from us anymore, because they've decided that they closed they didn't close the company down, they closed their offices down, so they are going to do everything remotely. And when they do need to have meetings, there's like all these free space
Zoom
where
thing.
or if they do need to have in-person meetings, because you've got like all these buildings now where you can rent office space for a couple of hours, like boardrooms and things like that. So yes, you don't need to have a whole floor to yourself with all those sort of things.
Can you imagine what's going to happen now? That's 2 offices said that. Can you imagine how many offices are going to open after COVID?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like I say, it's going to affect that side of the city, where you're going to end up with a lot of vacant office buildings. Because I mean, we've had before COVID, we used to we worked with the EBA, the European Banking Authority, and they were in Canary Wharf, so they had like 2 floors, but they didn't move because of COVID, because that was like they moved about, I would say, 2.5 years ago now.
Okay.
But that was because of Brexit. So then because the European Banking Authority was based in London, so now they moved because of Brexit. So they moved their offices to Paris.
Okay, so
So and there, like I said, that place was like, they had like 2, like, I mean, you saw, what the size of that Canary Wharf, the famous Canary Wharf. So they had like 2 of those floors, and they had like 7 coffee machines.
Wow. So that 7 coffee machines, they're not going to run anymore.
Well, I think they either they took it or they just got rid of. So like, we used to look after the coffee machines. We used to supply them with all the accessories and the filters and the products for the machine. So that was also a big chunk of our business, which kind of just like disappeared. That was like due to
I think
Brexit.
your company, for example, need to adapt to a new niche now. It's like a home coffee thing.
Well, we are busy on the domestic side. The domestic side has kind of not. I wouldn't say that we nearly doubled due to COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we are.
It's balanced, basically.
Yeah. So that side of our business has grown quite a lot. Obviously, like I say, we are one. I would say we are the biggest domestic service and repair center in I would say for now in London, because we do about between 50 and 70 machines a month.
Wow. You do from all over UK as well?
Yeah, we do all over. So people would send the machines, or we would arrange couriers to pick it up, and then we'll courier, or when we can we'll collect it.
Okay, so if it's local,
yeah, if it's local people, drop it off. I mean, it's easy. We're fairly easy to get to, and then if we can't, then we'll just get a courier to pick it up.
Oh, that's good. So at least you're adapting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people lost their business, lost everything after COVID. I have a few friends that basically lost everything within the COVID situation. They couldn't get any help from the government, or they couldn't adapt.
Yeah.
So they lost everything now. And for those people, I think COVID was a bad stuff.
And I think it's only I wouldn't say the strong that will survive. It's like, I mean, obviously there's like with the coffee side of it now. There was, I mean, I had another interview. A lady wrote a book about coffee roasters in London, so she came to interview me as well, because obviously we're one of the oldest coffee roasters in London, and this was also about 2 years ago that we did the interview, and then she said like, oh, she's got about she's doing 45 interviews, because there's about at this 2 years ago there was about 45 coffee roasters in London, and if you go back say 10-15 years, there's about 9-10 coffee roasters.
Okay, well, it doesn't affect only the companies. It would affect the farmers and the producer in general, the distribution, they basically got a bit affected, so they put the price up, no? The coffee helped to make the coffee price go up a bit.
No, because the farmers don't have any control over the price, and we also don't have any control over the price. So our industry gets affected by obviously the market. So yes, I mean, it's these money people. It's like you've got your hedge funds, you've got hedge fund managers and stuff like that. So they've got the money, so they can decide like, oh, this side of their market is not doing well. Let's go down to the safe side, the safe bet of coffee. Yeah. So and then we'll put all our money in there, leave it in there for a couple of months or so. Then obviously that drives the price of the coffee up, and then it's like the same thing as like if you buy, because obviously coffee is like a future, so coffee future. So I can buy coffee now, and with my suppliers I can buy say for December. I can put a contract in, so they'll give me a price what I'm going to pay in December. So it's kind of like a gamble that you take. So say for example, if the price of coffee is going to be £3 for a kilo of coffee, so that's what I kind of agreed to pay in December. But so if the price of coffee in December has gone down to £2, then obviously I lose out. But if it's gone to £4, then obviously I've guaranteed that that I've locked in that price.
What I meant is like because of lockdowns, a lot of farmers didn't work. A lot of people didn't work and went to do any work in farmers, or transport got affected as well. So that's why I thought it would affect.
I know there was a big thing in Brazil and in Colombia about the transport, because also there was the lockdown situation where the trucks can't get to the ports and things like that. Obviously the farm still operated, but it's like getting the coffee to either the co-ops, and then because like all the coffee, most coffees, like in say for example in Brazil and South and Colombia, the coffee would go to the like their coffee federation. So if you're a farmer, you kind of sell your coffee to the coffee federation. They give you the money for it, and then these federations, they'll sell it to
The Americano start.
Well, I'll go like I say, you've got the.
I mean, just take this bloody fly. It's because the door is open and they keep coming in because of the light.
It's because like in the 1700s, because like obviously the coffee in like Yemen, they had the whole well, in the 1600s you had like the when the coffee, like after the coffee was discovered, so they had like coffee became something that was like part like in the household, and also in the coffee houses.
Yeah,
there's not they didn't call them coffee shops then. It's like coffee houses and things like that
for poor people, because who couldn't have their own coffee at home.
Yeah. So that's where it started, and so you had the coffee houses, and then also then when the coffee came to Europe, it became like obviously in France and in Holland it was also popular, because like it's just like the travelers that went to the Far East and like and Turkey and Yemen and places like that, and they saw like, oh, what's this black water that everybody's drinking, and it's like, oh, they kind of got the buzz from the coffee. Then when it actually got to Italy, it was actually banned. Yeah, the coffee was banned because like obviously it came from these Muslim country, because they called it the what was it called, the black satanic water or something of the sort, and then I think the Pope intervened. He intervened. He tried it, and then he kind of like gave its approval. It's like, oh yes.
No, he baptized coffee.
Yeah,
they baptized as I don't know. They gave a name, coffee. Baptized in the church. Basically, coffee is the only product baptized by the church.
Yeah. So the coffee got the Pope's stamp of approval, and then everybody was then allowed to drink it, and then obviously the. It just kind of like took off from there. So
in Venice they had two very famous coffee houses, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And one was a Venetian coffee house for only for the Venetians, because they didn't like to mix with other people.
Yeah.
And the other one was for all the foreigners. And Wagner used to play in the one after 5 o'clock in the afternoon and drink a coffee and talk with the owner and people around there.
Yeah.
And I think what is the Italian composer that he used to around 1700s. I forgot the name. So I know they used to basically play in the same time.
Yeah.
But they never met. It was just across the square, like 150 meters. Yeah. In between them, they never met. Yeah. And two of the biggest composers in all time. Yeah. That's a bit of a thing, I think. And coffee is, when you say you talk about Italy, you talk about pasta and coffees, and there's no other thing you can talk about.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, there's also because obviously coffee and coffee was then also expensive as well. So you've got you get a thing that they you get Viennese coffee, which is a special type of coffee.
Yeah, I know that.
And then you get because Viennese coffee, they add figs and chicory to it.
Yeah, but the Viennese coffee is the one they give to a weasel to eat or something, and then they take from the poo.
No, that's Kopi Luwak. That's Kopi Luwak. But Viennese coffee was what they used to.
Viennese, not Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not.
Viennese coffee is because they. You get, the sour figs. So the leaves they dry it out and they grind it. So what they used to do is to they would add they grind it up like almost like same to coffee, and then you mix that in. It's like the same thing as like where you kind of make it a bit cheaper, so you're putting less coffee in.
Okay.
So
change the flavor. You're gonna be soury,
It changes the flavor of the coffee, but it was quite popular. I know we used to sell Viennese coffee because we used to buy figs and we used to buy chicory as well. And then we had, like I say, you had two types of coffee, and some places would buy Viennese coffee, and then you mix, like say, half a kilo of figs or something
But
into the
when you
the
start this, you start with the coffee industry in Italy as well, or no?
it's,
Really?
it's like I think it's all to do with the wars and stuff, because I mean, like, you know, when there's wars and stuff like that goes on, then it's like, oh, things becomes scarce, and then things becomes expensive, and then they'll try and, like, oh, you know what, we're going to try and make the coffee last longer, so we would kind of like not water down, but we would add more of say figs to it, so the coffee would last longer, so we get a bit more, and that's kind of how those sort of things started. When it becomes to rationing, and it's like, then people would think like, oh, let's try this, let's try adding this with that, so that this product would last longer.
Okay, and some of the cultures, they would condense coffee to be stronger, and then in the case of Vietnamese, they just
and like I said, it's like it's just like one of those, it's things just just changes over the years, and then sometimes it sticks, like you'd say, like your little ice block in your espresso thing, and it just you know, somebody comes up with it, and it's like, oh, let's do this, and then
people try ideas, and like ice cream coffee. You know, in Brazil they have ice cream coffee. You buy ice cream, coffee, ice cream. It's a completely different thing, and you can have ice cream coffee. They have coffee creams, like coffee spreaders.
And I mean, like I say, that like now you've got like these cold brews, which is like, and I would say it's new, but it's been around now for at least 8 or 9 years. Like whereas like they add, like, obviously it's cold coffee really, and they
cold coffee is quite old as well, and people, when do you
but they put a gas through it. Like I say, this is like you get
bubbly.
Coffee. It's almost like a lager. Say you get your coffee you get like the coffee concentrate.
Okay.
And then you add like same thing as would not the same thing, but something along that line, and then you add gas and things like that to the coffee. That's what they call a cold brew.
Yeah, because coffee and ice is being...
iced coffee has been around for a long time, and it's like I said, just depends. Everybody has their own way of making coffee.
Yeah, that's interesting. As a human beings, we're always going to try to change and do new things, and coffee is one thing they're going to be part of.
Yeah.
I believe if we have a colony in Mars, we're going to have coffee there, a coffee shop in Mars.
No, it's like people are probably going to take their own coffee. And like I say that's how I would say, like, instant coffee kind of got the instant coffee started in Japan. So instant coffee was kind of developed in Japan, and it's also to do with I wouldn't say mainly to do with the soldiers, because, like, you know, when there was the wars and stuff like that, so you got to feed the soldiers, and it's like, okay, coffee is quite bulky and it's quite heavy. So
basically very thin powder, just right.
And then it's like, then they came up with this where they kind of freeze dry the bean and then grind it, and then that's how you get your instant coffee.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So and then instant coffee, because you can have instant coffee like the sachets, and that's what they used to stick for the soldiers, and I mean, obviously nowadays, like, say when with your modern day soldiers, they've got all these big packs and stuff like that, and they've got like enough food in there to last them a week, but everything is like either in powder form or
vacuum packs and stuff.
Things like that. So, and that's, like I said, that's how your instant. I wouldn't say that's the main reason, but like I say, in 1900, that's when they instant coffee kind of started in Japan.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, where they can find. One thing about yourself now, what they can find if they need to find you?
Well, they can find me online. I'm at AE Stanton, aestanton.co.uk. That's our website.
Okay.
People, you can send me messages through there. If you have any questions about coffee machines, you need advice about wanting to buy coffee machines and stuff like that, I'm always there. You can email me, leave your number, and I can get back to you. And like I say, if anybody wants to try our little
your little
taste things, and all our, like I say, all our coffee is like fairly unique, because we have our own mixtures of coffee, and like I say, we're one of the oldest coffee roasters.
I may place a visit to you this week to get some coffee from you as well. Yeah, my one is almost done.
Yeah.
So,
Like I said, it's like if they want to try it. I mean, we are like traditional coffee roasters, and like I say,
if you want to try it, as you said, they have a little pack with 4 different ones, so they can try tastes whatever they like.
They can try our little taster bundles and things like that. And like I say, I'm always, because we're a small business as well, so most of the time you can get through to me if you need to speak to me.
Good.
Or if
so basically you're a niche business, so you work with something is a niche thing, is work with it basically is a artisanal coffee, isn't it?
Like I say, we are, like I say, we kind, like I say, I would say, all my customers knows me. So if they need to speak to me, they know who they need to speak to, and they can get through to speak to me.
Oh, that's good. So I'm gonna once I edit everything, I'm gonna put your website. On the credits and put. I'm not sure I'm gonna put your number. I'm gonna just put the website. So they can.
They can because they can go to the website and they can always get our telephone number off the website. So
maybe you'll be better. That way. So
like fine. I said, so I've done quite a bit. I'm kind of, according to the Financial Times article, I got given a name as the London Coffee Doctor in there.
Okay.
I had an interview in the Guardian as well, but that was mainly on the La Pavoni coffee machines, and then we also I'm also mentioned, interviewed for. There's a book called London Coffee, which was published most probably, what are we now, 2019 or 2019 or 28, so I'm in there as well. So
okay, that's good. So I'm sure people